I know, right?
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. We're back to Tuesday night. Just makes sense coming off last Thursday's Speed Week. We apologize for not being able to do Tuesday. We were at Grandview. We did not go to Hagerstown. Made sense to move it there. So we're back at our regular time, and we're ready to take your calls and look at the chat. I feel like we haven't had to ask this question in a while. Any idea who will be going where this weekend between Lincoln and Port Royal? No. Is the short answer. I think it's hard to determine where guys are going to go. I think you could see some guys traveling a little bit. If a guy goes to Clinton County, I guess he could come back and hit Port Royal. That would make sense. But it doesn't make much sense to go from Clinton County to Lincoln to Bedford. At least I don't think so. It's just so hard to say. You know, Danny Dietrich said he's not going to run Lincoln as much. Now, whether he sticks with that, it's hard to say. But no, I couldn't begin to tell you who's going to go where. I think it's going to depend on who pays more. And as of now, I'd say that's Port Royal. So I think that's where Chase Dietz will go. I think that's where some other guys will head as well. I've seen you on TV today in Lebanon watching the big boy train going through the city. No, you did not. No, you did not. But yes, I heard that it was going through the city today, and a lot of kids showed up. PA Speed Week ended on a sour note. Damn, Mother Nature can be a real bitch sometimes. Yeah, it can be. I think it hurt Port Royal probably more than anyone, as well as Sealands Grove losing those dates. I know there's some indecision at Sealands Grove. As for Port Royal, they need big shows, and Wednesday didn't exactly help because we had temperatures skyrocket and the crowd wasn't as good because people could watch it on streaming. So I don't think, but then again, I think crowds were down throughout Speed Week except for maybe BAPS and the Steve Smith Senior Tribute. So it was a rough week, and it definitely didn't end on a good note. Is the 17 GP going to stay on tour? Yes, it will. Are the rumors of Brock Zierfoss to the 7GP true? Stay tuned to tomorrow morning. We'll have a story on SprintCarUnlimited.com tomorrow. Hello, Jeremy. You may have to consider moving your Tuesday live show to Thursday. Looked like last week's YouTube views compared to the previous week. You have more than doubled the viewers' numbers. I was surprised by Thursday. I thought because there was a Speed Week show, that would take viewers away. Pleasantly surprised, and we'll see. You never know at this point. I may have to do that. The July 3rd race at the Grove was murder hot. It was, the weather didn't bother me so much while the sun was up. And I hate humidity. Can't stand it. There was at least a breeze. The problem was when it got later in the night and it got humid and the air stopped. And then I thought it was worse. The temperature wasn't as high, but the humidity and the dew point went through the roof. And that's when it's unbearable. So I didn't think it was too hateful during the day. Yeah, it was hot. And yes, it was uncomfortable, but there was a breeze each day. Once you got to the nighttime, I thought it was terrible. As an Australian, I've been really impressed with Ryan Newton's form racing in America this season. Picked it up quick. 4 years now. Ran 15 races that first year. Wasn't too bad. He's just steadily gotten better. I think probably having Eric Prutzman last year didn't hurt. I know the guy he has now, it's a first year working on sprint cars. It doesn't seem to have hurt him. And they seem to have good chemistry, and he times well. I think that's the key too. He's timing well almost every night. Barring any coming out late and at a bad time. Looks good in time trials, and he's raced pretty well. I like the second place run at, I believe it was Hagerstown. And I thought he had a great week. He's definitely one of the surprises of the week, at least I think. Whoa. After seeing Pennsylvania Speed Week races and the same two clean house all 8 races, should it be considered or made happen to have the top 2 in points start 7th, 8th, or 9th, and 10th, depending on how many are in the redraw, start the top 2 behind the redraw cars, and if they would be in the redraw, the fastest 2 that didn't make the redraw take the spots, hopefully to make better racing and not see them off the front row night in and night out. Just a thought, see what everyone's got to say about it. I thought the race at the Grove was fantastic. And they were on the front row. I don't care where they start. You can have a good race if they start in the front row. Chase Dietz won at Baps Motor Speedway from 6th. Yeah, other races weren't as good because Macri and Dietz were, towards the front. But they're not going to do it. It doesn't matter if we want it, don't want it. it's gonna be time trials. I don't think it wasn't hateful. And again, the Grove was really good, and they started on the front row, Macri and Dietz. So I don't think you need starting position is as important as track prep, what the surface is like, and obviously how good the cars are. I don't think, because again, you had the two dominant guys on the front row at the Grove, and they put on a great show. I didn't think it was hateful, but no, I don't think you can start getting too funny with that format and moving it around, and I don't know, starting them behind draw cars. And I don't like that. If they were going to just have a solid inversion of 8, okay, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with it. But I didn't think the racing was necessarily a big problem this week. I think they're just the two best cars. And I think they were the two best cars and drivers by far. I don't think anybody was close to them. I don't think anybody in central Pennsylvania was close to them. You had McFadden third in points, then you had Bacon and Ryan Newton. Those aren't central PA regulars. And then you had Logan Rumsey, who was 6th. Not exactly the guy you expect to be next to Macri and Dietz as far as central PA guys. I just think those two cars are just clearly better than everyone else, and I think those drivers are better than everyone else right now. And everybody else is playing catch-up. If you wanted to go with the same inversion, that's fine. Going to base it on time, fine. But I don't expect any changes. This Saturday night, we're doing Sprint Car Unlimited race day live. What race on Saturday night are you looking forward to the most? Woo at Wilmot, Nark at Santa Maria, Knoxville, Port at Skagit. Yeah, we got that, working on the finishing touches on that, the logo, everything else. Expect to come on air at 7 o'clock and see what happens. We'll be on as late as we can go. And I expect to get to the NARC show. I might not have a voice by then, but we're going to try it out. What kind of car count do you anticipate for Bedford on Sunday? 18, maybe. Maybe you get some Western PA guys, AJ Flick, Spithaller, Michael Bauer, guys like that. So Jeremy Weaver, but I still 18 to 20 max, but I could be wrong. Are the days of a profitable 358 Sprint late model and street stock race over in Central PA? I think you mean by that, if that was the divisions on the card, I assume that's what you mean. If that's the case, yeah, you're not going to make money on that show. How many drivers go to Clinton County Speedway Friday and stay out west to run Pittsburgh Motor Speedway for $10,000 to win 410 show? Clinton County is a tough one as far as how many cars they get. They have, Ryan Smith's going to go. Billy Dietrich's going to go. I guess Dietz is going to go. I'll be surprised if Macri goes. I just 25, 26. They might get some 305 guys to run up there. The weather does not look good. That could keep some people away. As far as the Pittsburgh Motor Speedway, I don't know how many guys know about it. I don't know how much of a haul that is from Clinton County, but I don't know how many guys know about it. Now, would Macri maybe go out to that and then head out through to the Kings Royal because Monday's Fremont? Maybe. Not sure what his schedule is going to look like this weekend. Does he need a weekend off because of his, just to rest his back a little more before Eldora? Is he sore? I think there's a lot of variables there. But Clinton County, I'm going to say 25 to 28. And Pittsburgh, I don't know how many of them who race Clinton County are going to go race there Saturday night. I would be surprised by that. Over the weekend, I heard that C-Bell will be in at 69K when the Outlaws head to Canada. Have you heard this? Yes, I have. When they go to Oswego, I'm hearing that Christopher Bell will be in the 69K. I was hoping to head to Clinton County on Friday, but weather looks iffy. That might keep me from getting hotel room near the track for Friday night. I think the weather is going to be something Clinton County battles on Friday. It's time of year. 50% can mean 100% and 70% can mean 30%. You just never know what's going to happen. They're up in Mill Hall. I know it doesn't look great up there. It's a crapshoot. PPMS to Clinton County is 187 miles. Yeah, I don't know how many guys are going to do that. I think maybe if Macri goes up to Clinton County and then heads over there, I could see that. Chase Dietz, I don't know if he will or not. Maybe. Or they just prep to run Eldora for next week. Kings Royal week starts on Wednesday. You have Attica on Tuesday. I think it's still up in the air as far as what people are going to do. And then if it rains at Clinton County, then do you just scrap it if you're a team going out there? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But I don't see people going from Clinton County out to PPMS. Freddie, Lance, and Wagaman are going. Yeah, not surprised that they're going to Clinton County. That's kind of why I said it 25 to 28. But I don't think any of them guys go to PPMS. Talking with Brock Zierfoss at Skagit Dirt Cup, he says he's open to touring either national series. I did a story on him, I don't know what it was, last year for something, and he mentioned that it doesn't matter which national tour. He doesn't care. I know he wants to be national tour racing. Do you know if Macri will be racing this weekend? I do not as of now. I've not heard anything as of yet. How many times can you thaw and refreeze a hot dog? Asking for a friend. I have no idea. I mean, it's got to be bad. They tell you not to thaw out and refreeze meat. I think maybe the max you could probably do it as once, but I wouldn't want to eat it. Qualifying wings need to be outlawed. Why? Why? With PA Speed Week crowd down, does it mean that people only want to come out for sanctioned races only, or heat impacted it? I asked the same question at Dirt Tracker for their live show yesterday. I think there were definitely variables. I think the Grove was the first night. Not much impacted that. You had Lincoln on Saturday. It was terrible weather to the north, so rain was a big issue. Baps and Lincoln were fine Sunday, Monday. Grandview was a little off. Then it started to get hot. And I do think the heat kept some people away. You know, it's an interesting question. Was it people save their money for the Smith race and it was $10 more? Is the PA series splitting people? Meaning the PA series isn't full. Did some people maybe supporting that? Did that take 200-300 people or whatever it is out of the stands for PA Speed Week? Are people saving their money to go to the Kings Royal Week? I think there are a lot of variables in play. I don't necessarily think it's just sanctioned races that they're looking forward to, but let's face it. The Bob Weicker Memorial's coming up. The Kings Royal's coming up. The Outlaws are coming up. July is jam-packed. And there are a lot of Pennsylvania people who go to Eldora. They go to Knoxville, especially Eldora. And that's next Wednesday. So I do think it's probably, again, they're different reasons. but I don't think it's just sanctioned shows. I think people will go to other shows. I just think conditions have to be better than maybe what they have been in the past. I'm kind of depressed this past week. Missed seeing the entertainment of the work area. Doctor said all should be well by next week. Yeah, I wish somebody give the work area a lobotomy. I would really like to get rid of the work area. It was definitely nice not having it or not having a show drag on because of it. But it'll be back this week. Terry on line one. Terry, how are you?
I'm good, Jeremy. My question is, what's your opinion on what's going on with the 8 car? They don't seem to time trial races. They're out to lunch. I don't know if it's who's setting the car up or what, but they just don't seem to be clicking.
No, they had a stretch where they were rattling off top fives and things were looking good. And then, Deweese said he found something wrong with the geometry of the front of the car. So they thought they had it figured out. Speed week happened and it went south after the first 2 nights. I don't know. I just think they're missing it. I think they're way off. And I think if you time bed, you're in a hole. I think it looks worse when you're doing a time trial show because you can't get out of the hole. Whereas if it's a handicap show, you can cheat it, maybe get the fourths, and you can kind of make your way through the night. Time trials, you can't. You can't hide a lack of speed. And, starting in the back of these races, it's just hard to come forward. And from Sunday on, Deweese and the Eichelberger team were bad. So Deweese told me, I think it was at the Grove, that they're just struggling real bad. Didn't give a reason. And I just think that's where they're at right now.
Yeah. Well, the ones you did win were all non-timed events. So he started near the front and stuff. But if he's not starting in the top 10, they're out to lunch.
Yeah. And I think, and again, just like the Grove in the Speed Week opener, he finished third. He came from like 8th or whatever it was. He timed well. Their car isn't good enough right now to dig out of a hole. So it's
right.
Not like, some guys on the National tour who can bail out of that. They're not bailing out of it, and they just don't have speed in the beginning of the night.
Well, it was funny to me where you have a Hall of Fame driver,
mm-hmm.
you have funding with Eichelberger,
mm-hmm.
but yet you're advertising for pit help on social media. That just seems weird to me.
It's hard to find help nowadays. It is really hard to find help. I think some national teams have struggled with that during the off season and guys moving around. I think trying to find help nowadays is really tough, and it's not easy whether you're a national team or a local team. First off, they weren't a certain amount to work. And of course, a local team not paying what a national team pays. And it's not a glamorous lifestyle. If you're doing it at the national level, you're sitting a lot. You're sitting in hotels. It's boring. So there's just a lack of crew help right now, and I think that's something that's going to get bigger in this sport. Just people looking for good crew help.
Well, I just want your opinion. I appreciate it.
Yep.
And enjoy the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Terry. Yep. What about Lucas Wolf in the 39? I think it's a good fit for where they're at right now. Lucas needs a ride. There's not a lot of them out there. That's number one. Number two, the 39 has gone through a bunch of younger guys. I think they could use an experienced guy. Lucas has been around since 2003. So he'll be able to at least give some feedback and tell these guys what they need, what they don't need, where they're falling short. Do I know if it's going to produce wins? I'm not going to say that. I'm saying that it's a good match for where these two sides are right now. Lucas Wolf hasn't won since 2024. The results have not been there in his own car with a situation that is tailored to him. He'll admit that. And the Trone car has struggled as well, mightily. And to me, it's a perfect fit of two sides that are in the same spot right now. They needed each other. There's just not a lot out there right now if you're looking for a ride. And Lucas Wolf's resume the last couple of years just isn't good. Speed Week format should stay the same. Some people think the Kings Royal or Knoxville National should change. It's the format, so why change it? Eric might have to get the baby monitor. Look out. The joys of being a new father. Your question, I don't get wrapped up in formats too much. I like the inversions that the Kings Royal and Knoxville do because the tracks allow most of the time for guys to come through. If you're going to have an inversion, you got to have a track in which you'll be able to pass. If you don't have that, the format becomes too much of a dictator, I guess. If you have a point format where you're acquiring points and you can't pass, that's a major problem. So as long as the track prep's good, any format will be fine. If the track's racy, it's going to be fine. So I don't think the answer is always just change the format. You'd be changing formats every year. I've seen every format fail and every format be a success. So that tells me that it's more about track prep. It's more about things of that nature. I think you hit the nail on the head for Speed Week to start on Thursday and end on Saturday, as even if Selinsgrove would have to run on Sunday, what would be the crowd size? And I've been with work on Monday. I'd like to see it Friday to Saturday. I don't, but if you're going to start it and you need all the tracks and you're going to have the same amount of races, you could start it on Thursday. I just think it's better to run it through Saturday because it gives teams Sunday off before they have to go back to work. These aren't professional teams out there. Give them that Sunday to relax at least before they go to work and start their week. Most of them took off for Speed Week and they're going back to work. Give them the day in between. I don't like Speed Week ending on a Sunday. I don't care where the race is. They could have it at Eldora and I wouldn't like it. But it's what we have, and I don't know if it'll be the same amount next year. I don't know if the same tracks will be involved next year. There's some ebb and flow going on with some of these tracks that are on the Speed Week schedule. So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. To be honest, I'd rather listen to you and Dirt Tracker over a guy like Chaz who just loved to stir the pot to gain attention. You and Justin stay professional, which I like. I appreciate that. Just different styles. That's all. I can't get into I don't understand the yelling and swearing and it's just not for me. It's just not the way I do stuff. 10,000 to win at PPMS Saturday should be a good turnout car-wise, and I'm happy to see a big paying race in Western PA. I agree. They need it. I think it's good for Western PA. I don't see a mass exodus from Central PA to the Pittsburgh area for that. But I do see a good car count for PPMS, at least from the Western guys. 10,000 is huge to them. I don't know how they do it on a weekly basis because they just don't pay well at all. I mean, it's horrible what the purses are for, say, a Friday night. So I'm glad to see they got a $10,000 to win show, and I hope it's supported well because if you don't support that, it's not going to be there. Danny Ferrio crashed at Santa Maria, and any word on his condition? None. I've not heard anything on that. I knew there was a crash. I haven't heard anything yet on his status. Getting to the NARC show, better get some coffee and get ready for 1 a.m. Come on, man. Don't say that. I'm hoping they've been better this year. I'm hoping 11. It's not going to be 11:30. Hoping midnight-ish. I don't drink coffee, so that's not going to help. Just going to have to wing it. We'll hang in there as long as we can. Maybe it'll be to the start of the NARC feature. If I don't have a voice, I won't be able to talk, but hopefully everybody joins us. We're going to try and do as many different things as possible and keep it lively. So we'll see how it goes. Lance DeWeese hinted a few weeks ago that we could see Cole make his 410 debut this weekend. Well, that would be interesting. I expect that at some point. I just didn't know it was going to be this weekend. We'll see. I'll reach out to him probably later in the week here, and it might be one of my storylines heading into the weekend on SprintCarUnlimited.com. If that is the case, we'll see. A lot of racing coming up, a lot of things to cover. They have absolutely not been better this year. There's been times they have. There's a couple shows that it's not getting done at 1 a.m. my time. A couple. That's an improvement. Crawl before you walk. Is the PPMS 10,000 top heavy or spread throughout? What is the start money? I am not sure what the start money is on that. I can have Eric dig around during the show, see if he can find it. Opinion on Parker Price Miller and his dissatisfaction on a second division running with the major touring series events. I think it's on Dirt Vision. I go back and forth on this. In one regard, I think there's a meeting in the middle for me, but I'll get to that in a minute. In one regard, I like it because it widens out the track. And if you don't have a lot of cars, say it's in, Montana or whatever, you're not going to widen the track out because you're not going to have enough cars. That is my support of a second division. Where it gets bad is if the second division's lousy and it drags out the show too much. Both national tours do a good job of getting their shows done, and you don't want to lose that. I think people appreciate it. I think people have other things to do now. I think their attention spans are shorter. So I do think it's a happy medium. Have a support division, but limit the car count. You don't want like Central PA Legends there, where you can get 40, 50 cars. You don't want 305s from like Pass from Pennsylvania. That's 40, 50 cars. That's too many. So I think in that 18 to 24 range, just something that's quick. You get 3 heats. Hot laps, 3 heats, and a feature at the end of the night. I think that's perfect, and I think it's good to widen out the track. Other than that, I'm against it. Good deal. $10,000 to win, $1,000 to start at PPMS. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Second is $5,000. Third, $3,000. That's respectable. Second place, half of first, I'm good with. So it's almost like a Speed Week purse. A little more. It's over a $40,000 purse there. Very hard to pass on PPMS. I would say so. If it's over a $40,000 purse, I would agree with that. Jeremy, Eric, looking forward to the Saturday Night Live. Great idea and a nice change up. Boy, Eric, we better produce on this damn thing. We better not drop the ball on it. I got to get things in order. That's something I'm going to do tomorrow and Thursday, just so we're going to do our best. It's a new idea. I don't know how it's going to go. We're going to try and pull it off best we can. So you wouldn't schedule wingless super sportsman on a Tuesday night of a World of Outlaws race. Who would do such a thing? Not me. Not me. Apparently Lincoln. Didn't Lincoln do that? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But again, 3 heats, and it doesn't take long, and it widens out the track. I can accept it. Faria has a fractured C2 in his neck, but is at home. All right, there's your update. I appreciate that. I was unsure what the injury exactly was. Hopefully, he has a speedy recovery. Prediction car counts for Monday night at Fremont. 45-50. You see Chaz flip a hobby stock. Yeah, I saw him flip a hobby stock. It came across my YouTube channel. Happy to see Lucas will be back on the track. I think a lot of people are. I think he's a fan favorite in this area, Central PA, meaning for those who are outside the area. I was starting to wonder if he was going to come back. But it's good to see him back, and hopefully they're successful. Isn't your preferred support division the midgets? No. They flip too much. When is the next deep dive? I'm hoping this week. I got to reach out to somebody tonight about it after the show, and hopefully I can book that and get that going. So I'm hoping Thursday. Thoughts on Davis? I think this thing started to boil over at Grandview when High Limit was there. There was some stuff in the pit area about getting, switching seats, doing this, doing that. And they were kind of slow with stuff. I just think it ran its course. I think the personalities involved, well, at least from the team side, wanted to move on. Davis was a casualty of that. He seems to move around a lot. We'll see what he gets next. Other than that, I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. That team needs to keep a driver, and Davis needs to stay in a car for a while. I think that starts to, regardless of the reasons are. I think a lot of times fans, and this isn't an indictment on fans, they just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And there's some things like a guy like me can't report on. Or you lose that contact with that team. But I do think there are some things that go on, and a combination just doesn't work. And I think when a driver moves around a lot, people start to question why. I think when a car goes through a lot of drivers, I think people start to ask why. We've heard that about the Trone car. I've heard it all week. Oh, it's not going to work. Nobody. So I think both entities, now that they're apart, need to find something stable. Thinking about going to the Kings Royal next year, what's the best way to experience? Camping or hotel? How far is the closest hotel? You can probably get a hotel in Greenville. There's a lot of Airbnbs around there, which is what I do. And then you have Sydney, which is 45 minutes away. Piqua, 45 minutes away. That's kind of where your hotels are. I'm not a camping guy. I'm just not. So, if you like camping, that's fine. You'll have a great experience. If you're in a hotel and have to drive, just make sure you get there early so you can park. But the experience is great. There's no other place I'd rather watch a race than Eldora Speedway. I've been going to Eldora for the late models for about 25 years. I'll be there for the high limit races next week. Where's the preferred place to watch for sprint cars? Well, I've sat in the grandstand. And I stand on top of the media center in the infield because obviously I need access to the media center to do stuff. But I enjoy both. I think if you're on the front stretch, there's not a bad seat. If you're up in turns 3 and 4, you can overlook the track 1 and 2. There's really not a bad seat in the house. It is, from a viewing standpoint, it's pretty good. If you like the pit area and want to stand on top of the media center, they allow people with bands to do that. It's also good. So I don't think you could go wrong. You can watch from anywhere. Try both. It's good stuff. Deep dive Chad Layton. There's been a couple suggestions for that, for Chad. How many Central PA teams have full-time crew chiefs? Well, you have Stamen with Tommy Carl. You have Anthony Macri with Joe Mooney. You have, when you say full-time crew chiefs, I'm going to say guys who maybe not their living, but they do it all the time. Troy Wagaman has Ben Engel. Ben Engel also runs a body shop, a Blazers body shop, but he works full-time on that thing. Freddie Raymer, of course, has his dad, and him for that matter. He works on it a lot. Brock Zierfoss has Jim Shuttlesworth. Preston Latimus has Kyle Reinhardt, but Kyle Reinhardt also works for Capital Renegade, but he works on that thing full time. That's pretty much it, I believe, unless I'm missing somebody. But if you just mean full time, is that's all they do? You have Jim Shuttlesworth, you have Joe Mooney, you have Tommy Carl, and that's about it. The $40 admission killed Saturday's crowd. Where? At Lincoln? Lincoln didn't have 40 the first for the Saturday show. They had it for Monday. I don't know what Port Royal rained out. That weather was coming no matter what. So it doesn't matter what the general admission price was. How do you think Anthony will do next week at Eldora? Oh, they time well. Hey, top 10. I think he flirt with the top 5. It depends on qualifying. That car qualifies well, so it'll be in the mix. I mean, I think last year, would you have predicted he's going to win it? I wouldn't have. But I definitely think he's a top 10 car there. Do you know what Danny Dietrich found as the reason for his lack of speed? As of Saturday, nothing. He lacked speed the rest of the week. After Lincoln, I thought Lincoln was going to, things would turn around a bit. Really was fast in the feature, 22nd to second. Doesn't happen every night. Thought he had some speed at Grandview. It rubbered up then in the last 10 laps or so he really couldn't do a lot. But he timed bad. And so I think they still lack speed. And then he wasn't good at Hagerstown or the Grove. So I still think they're trying to figure out why they don't have speed. I don't think they figured it out yet. Where will Jim Shuttlesworth land if Zierfoss move is true? That's a good question. Don't have an answer to that. I think if that happens, I think anybody should reach out and bring him on. Obviously, he's been around. I think he's closing in on 100 wins as a crew chief. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Monday's admission at Lincoln killed Saturday's crowd at Lincoln. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Many people showed up in the camping area Sunday. I'm not going to, you know what? I'm not going to argue that point. I will not argue that point. I definitely think that $40 admission, nothing good came of that on Monday. I think it affected them in more ways than one, and I think it could affect them down the road. I think people were angry about it. I think they paid it because of the event, because of the name attached to the event, and maybe because they thought more World of Outlaws guys were going to show up. We got one, two, with Logan Schuart and Carson Macedo. The other two guys, they had problems at Cedar Lake. But I think that hurt. I think that's going to eventually hurt them down the road and probably hurt them Saturday night as well. So I can't argue that point. What's your guess on what schedule changes Port Royal will do next year? I think it's going to depend how they finish this year. I know what could. I mean, obviously they've cut back races to run, to this whole deal with the series and not running against Lincoln series races and vice versa. I think for me, if I was running the track, I would have to wonder about the series. I don't think the series has done anything. I don't think it's helped anybody. I don't think it's generated interest. I think it's something good for the drivers at the end of the year. But as far as having an impact in the area on a positive side, I don't think it's done anything. I don't think it's done anything at all. And now Port Royal can't move shows. I got something on Facebook today said, why don't they reschedule in October? There's a lot of drivers and teams that are done after the National Open. There's fans who are done after the National Open. You're starting to get into the NFL. You're starting to get into, for me, hockey season. Not that would stop me from going, but people have other things to do. Kids are in school. I think there are a lot of activities on the weekend, with those kids who are in school. So I think going to October is not a smart thing. And I just think the series is hurt by giving all these races to the fringe tracks. And it's taken away from a place like Port Royal being able to reschedule races. But the series has done nothing for the area. I can't, and I've looked, I've tried, but I can't find it. Another good point, Penn State football. Good luck running against that on Saturday nights. So the only thing I could see is they cut back their commitment to the series. They changed their schedule up a little bit. And nobody's going to like hearing this. They got to get lucky with the weather. And that has nothing to do with changes. So I think it's from a schedule standpoint, you just less series races, worry about your track more, meaning instead of the group. Any idea on what broke on Freddie's car Friday night? Fuel pump. I believe it was a fuel pump. I had it in my notebook. I remember that. I'm going to actually check now, but I think it was a fuel pump. Yep, fuel pump. I remember correctly. Then they weren't going to run Saturday or Sunday regardless. That was the plan from the start, which I was surprised by. 410s are starting to make a sucking sound. I'm back to watching 600s at Clyde Martin Raceway. Plenty of passing, action, and affordable also. Well, that's definitely a problem if you start losing your fans. I think the momentum will continue for Donnie Schatz and the CJB Motorsports team after this break. Some big money races coming out. What's your take, Jeremy? I was disappointed at him in Cedar Lake. After Huset's, which I was surprised with how well they performed, I was very disappointed with Cedar Lake. There's no momentum there. There's none. Cedar Lake was a disappointment. I don't think there's any way you could look at Cedar Lake's perfect as far as I'm concerned for what that team does, and Donnie and whatnot. He has tons of laps there. He's coming off a really good performance at Huset's. I thought it would be a lot better, and it wasn't. And I think you definitely need to go back to the drawing board on that coming into these big races this weekend and moving into the Crown Jewel events. Definitely not coming in on a high. Is it possible Ashwaubenon Wu is throwing some extra tow money to the 69K? Just seems so out of the ordinary for them to head to Canada. It's been done before when people have gone to Canada. I do not know if it's being done now, but I don't think it's so much throwing money at him from a track standpoint as it is Christopher Bell and, special sponsorship there. And I think they get a few extra bucks from the Interstate Batteries crew. So I think it's more of a sponsorship thing than it is a track thing. People also angry about paying $40 on top of the racing when no other tracks charge for camping during Speed Week. Lincoln is getting greedy. Yeah, I'm unaware. And admittedly, I don't keep up with camping prices, but that's a bad look. I mean, if other tracks, if that's the case, and they don't charge for camping, and Lincoln does, yeah, it's all gonna chip away at your fan base. You got to live with it. We all make choices, and if you start charging for everything, eventually it's going to bite you, especially when the other tracks don't do that. Maybe they'll learn their lesson. Any noise on changes for the PA Posse series next year? None yet. It's way too early. They've had a bunch of shows clipped and could have another one Friday night. We'll see how this weekend goes and probably start hearing stuff maybe into August or so. I think we need a bigger sample size. I mean, I know how I feel about it so far, but I don't think it's going to get better as the year goes on. So I don't know what changes they're going to make. I know what changes I would make, but they're not asking me. Do you think Port still offers $100,000 for the Weikert next year, considering the thin margin to be financially successful when weather is involved? I think they have a lot of good sponsorship for that race. And I think, say, if Saturday gets rained out for this year's Weikert in July, I don't think Sunday will pay $100,000. Do I think they'll go back to $100,000 next year? I do for a different year. And I think that's different than say what's going on this year with it. I think they're two separate entities. So I think it'll be $100,000 next year. We got extra tow money for committing to the first 6 races of the Woo schedule this season. Yeah, Woo definitely does some packages like that. I know High Limit does some packages like that as well. I believe there is I think they still do it. I know Rico was on this as a gold membership to the Outlaws. If you run like 40 shows or something like that, you get tow money or you get a package or something like that. So that doesn't surprise me at all. They've done that for years. Hopefully with the rain out at Port Royal on Saturday will make people understand why the 3 tracks that run 410s on a regular basis get 2 Speed Week races every year. I agree with you, but that's not going to happen. People are not going to see the light on that one. It is why they do it. And I guess everybody wants to think everything's created equal. Well, not everybody or everything is created equal. It's just not the way it is. I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way. I'm saying it's just not that way. So you're going to protect your 3 big tracks in the area. and that's how it's going to be. It is not changing. And I would love to think people would understand it, but I doubt it. Daryl on line 2. Daryl, how are you?
I'm good, Jeremy. So last year, the Gold Cup, it cost us, I think, about $75 a night to camp. And by the time we rented the motorhome and everything, we spent $2,500. And I would love to have free camping. I wouldn't complain about $40. I'd give them $40, no problem.
Well,
I can't believe you guys have free camping.
I just think it's two different areas. I think the economics of each state are different. Obviously, I'm not.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, obviously, $100,000 in California is different than $100,000 in Pennsylvania, and I noticed that there's a big difference even in the way teams think here and teams think in California. I mean, talking to the Tarleton group and Drew Warner this week, I mean, it's definitely different in the way they're treated out there as opposed to here. Everything's different state to state, and especially when you're on the West Coast compared to the East Coast. There's a lot of stuff you guys do out there that we couldn't get away with.
Next time you talk to Brad Sweet, tell him Daryl says we'd like, $40 camping.
I'll tell him that. I will see him next week at some point, and I'll tell him Daryl on my show says he should have $40 camping.
Daryl from Redding, California says hook a guy up.
I will definitely say that.
Jeremy, thanks for everything, buddy.
Thanks, Daryl. I appreciate your call.
Have a great week.
Yep, you do the same.
Bye.
That's funny. What else do we got? Hotel in Troy next week, $280 for the week. Renting a camper and camping at Big E, $1,500 to $2,000. There's your answer. Where are you staying for $280 for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights? That's 4 nights. You're looking at $70, and actually less because there's taxes. Where are you staying? That's dirt cheap. Sounds like silly season is picking up again. You're right. It comes in waves. It does. Although I don't know if it's going to be as extreme this year as last year, but who knows? Holiday Inn. Okay. I mean, that's great. If you get it for $280, that's fantastic. Kudos to you for booking early. I'm definitely looking forward to the Saturday show, especially being stuck at home. I appreciate that. Hopefully we can deliver. Now there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to deliver. Merch update. I was waiting for this. I have a proof. I'm making one more change to this proof, and I'm hoping to have them on sale next week. I just looked at the one proof today. I moved something around. I'm not totally happy with it, but I don't think I can be totally happy with it. So sometimes I'm hard to please with stuff. And but I hope to have the merch for sale next week. Do you think Chase Dietz will get over 20 wins this year? I think that's a slam dunk. Slam dunk. He gets over 20 wins. He might have 17 by the end of this weekend if he runs both of those races, which I think he probably will. Tracks are tradable and you are the GM of Flow Racing Dirt. Okay. Oof. Tracks are tradable, and you are the GM of Flow Racing Dirt Vision, offers you Husets for Port Royal straight up. Do you take that deal? No, I wouldn't. I'd keep Port Royal. I think with the Tuscarora 50, I think Flow Racing helped them get. I think Flow Racing helped Port Royal become High Limit Central. I do. And I do know Flow will not give that up. I know this because I bid against them on it. So no, I would not trade Port Royal for Huset's. Not that I don't like Huset's, but they don't run as many races. And I think Port Royal has a bigger footprint right now. Port Royal Lions Club Park charges $20 per night just down over the hill with a creek and shade and has shuttle service during Fair Week. There you go. Need a place to park. I usually park in town and walk, depending on the crowd. I've had a lot of success with that. Of course, the signs are tough to dodge sometimes, but that's worked. Who had the last win in the 39? Cameron Smith? Did Cameron Smith get one in that car? I think it might have been Cameron Smith got a win in that car. And if it wasn't him, I'd say it was Chase Dietz. I think Mansfield gets a Woo or High Limit race next year. I think they're on the schedule this year, aren't they? If I'm not mistaken. I think in October, I know it might be Sharon Millstream. Let me check here. October. Williams Grove, Millstream. Yeah, they're at Mansfield this year, October 9th. So Mansfield already has World of Outlaws. As for High Limit, I don't know if they go that direction or not. Any word on tires for next year? Will it stay Hoosier or will we see changes or options? With the price of these things, I know it's been talked about. Last year, there were talks about another tire manufacturer. I don't know if it comes to fruition. I could see certain groups going or allowing a different tire. And I think too, okay, and I'm not saying High Limit's going to do this. This isn't, so don't anybody get, crazy and say that High Limit's going to do this. But let's take High Limit, for example. If High Limit would do that, Port Royal might do that because they're associated with them so much. Then you might have NARC do it. And then what I'm saying is you've got to have dancing partners. If you're the Outlaws and you decide to do it, well, you have some tracks that depend on you a lot. Williams Grove. So you could, leverage that, so to speak. I think if anything happens, you got to have dancing partners. And I don't know if we're any closer. It's kind of died down. The chatter was pretty high at the end of last year, and then it's died. It's going to take a lot to do that because it opens up a can of worms as far as, who can run what, teams are they going to have to stock their trailers with both? There's just a lot of moving parts to it and a lot to consider. It's not as easy as just saying, hey, we're going to fire in and have a new tire or let another manufacturer in. I think it's a wait and see. High Limit to American Racer, Jeremy. I've heard that. I've talked to Brad recently about it. And there's no done deal in place, and it's something that has been, they've investigated it, I would say. But I don't think it's a slam dunk that they start next year on American Racers. And I don't think it's going to be a case where it's exclusive. I think you could see something that's done. Maybe you have a choice. I'm not even saying that's going to happen. He left it very open-ended, and there are a lot of moving parts to it. It's not as simple as just making it that way. Could you see something like American Racer is a tire for the midweek series while Hoosiers for the rest? No, I don't think I wouldn't do that anyway. I think if you're going to say, look, you can run both, you run both, which is what I would do. Because got to remember, Hoosier does give money to these organizations and gives it to the track still. Not as much as they used to, but they still do it. It's a big nut to get rid of. I do think it becomes a sticky issue. And then you go to tracks, and let's say, okay, you're high limit and you can run American Racer, but you go to a track that's a Hoosier track. It's a slippery slope. So there's a lot of moving parts to this thing. What did you think of Tyler Courtney's win at Knoxville? I was impressed. And I was looking at I was thinking about the Corey Neshaw pool when I was watching it. And I know not everybody was there, but the way he was getting off the bottom was really good. I still have some concern about his qualifying, but boy, did he look good in race conditions. Garrett Williamson was able to stay with him. I thought he, did a good job. I think Garrett Williamson's going to win a race this year. But boy, Tyler Courtney looked really good. So it definitely went in my memory bank for the Corey Neshaw pool come Knoxville Nationals time. Did you hear about the Sugar Bee getting sued all that money? I did not. If you'd like to enlighten me on that, I have not heard about coming off Speed Week stuff because you're almost in a vacuum for Speed Week. You're kind of focused on doing that, and you kind of and the national tours kind of, they go dark, so you just don't pay as much of attention. So, I mean, any information you have, I'll be glad to listen to it or read it. How about a support division made up of media folks, photographers and podcast hosts, all driving street stocks? I have no desire to do that. I've driven a go-kart already, and it's fine. I don't need to do that. I'll watch the other guys do it. Troy Wagaman Jr., last winner in the Trone 39. I forgot about him. Yep. Good catch. Good catch. Are you hearing anything about Sealands Grove? Is next year in jeopardy for them? I think every year's in jeopardy for them. I've heard multiple things. I heard the Speed Week show was important, and obviously they lost that. So I do not know what their status is yet. I mean, I've heard different things, and until something that I know something firmer, I'm not going to get into everything I've heard. But I think every year's up in the air for them. Anytime you're signing a lease or you have a lease agreement, I think there's a chance the promoters don't come back. So right now, I think it's up in the air. When are you starting your Where Are They Now show? Let me get through this Saturday thing and get things rolling and get my deep dive back rolling. And then I'll, cause Where Are They Now could be also like the deep dive a little bit. So let me think about it. What are your picks for the Kings Royal? Ooh, a little early for that. I like to. I think, I never pick Sheldon there. I don't think he's overly good at Eldora. But I have to wonder if he can sneak in there and get a win this year. Sheldon's really good right now. So I think Sheldon, Gravel's always in the hunt for that race, I think. Rico be interesting there. Every year we hear, this is when we start hearing the Rico Abreu Crown Jewel talk. Hasn't happened yet, but I get the feeling at some point he's going to break through. I don't know. I don't know who. That's difficult. That's difficult. I don't have a pick just yet. I will next week. Next Tuesday's show, I'll have a pick. I know one thing, most of us teams wouldn't be buying double sets of tires from the two tire manufacturers if one track ran brand A and another track brand B. Yes, not all the teams would, but you're going to have teams that do it. They have tire smashers, for crying out loud. I mean, so I find it hard to believe that teams wouldn't do it. Everybody says they won't spend money, but they will, and they'll complain about it, and then they'll just continue to spend money. Now, I don't know what team you're with, but teams will spend money. So, but there's a lot of logistics involved with getting another tire involved. Why are tracks running regular shows or local weekly racing, not experimenting with different formats for more entertaining racing? I mean, we have handicap shows in Central PA. We just don't have as many of them. And I think we have a lot of different formats in PA. I can only speak to PA because that's where I am weekly, but we have a points format for the Weikert. We have handicap where you're handicapping heat races, and where you finish is where you start the feature. And then you have the other handicapping, which is where you do it throughout the night. And then you have hot lap time trials, which line up the heat races. And then you have, we have a ton of formats, and I've seen all of them fail at the admission gate. I hear a lot of fans talk about admission prices or they talk about wanting more handicap shows, and then they don't go to them. Yellow Breeches races at the Grove was a perfect example. Those were handicap shows, and now they're not. Why? Because fans didn't show up. So I hear a lot of it, but then fans don't show up. Well, then you're not going to get it in the future. So in Central PA, we see a lot of formats. A lot of formats. How long was Goodyear's return? Somewhere around there. When did I write that story? I wrote a story on that when it happened for PennLive.com. So I think they got out. Yeah, 2012. It was after the 2012 season. So I think you're right in the ballpark there. I think you're right in the ballpark. And they're not coming back. Guaranteed they're not coming back. Tyler Courtney has not qualified well this year at all. He seems to be capable of driving forward most races. Is the win at Knoxville a sign that he turns it around like Brent Marks has? I do know that they've been experimenting with different things on the Stanton motor. So maybe these things go in cycles. So maybe, I think the jury's still out on that. We'll see how he does the second half of the year. The proof is in, he's got to time better. That's where your raw speed is. It sets up your night. You can't continuously come from deep to win races or expect to win races. So we'll see if he can pick up the qualifying pace and make a move in the high limit standings the rest of the year. Is Larson racing Kings Royal? I believe he's running the first two nights. I do not know about the other two nights. I can check here because I have it in my phone. Bear with me a second because I haven't looked at it because I haven't done my pool stuff yet or my preview stuff yet. Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday, he is scheduled to run at Eldora, but I don't think he'll be at the Kings Royal, but I'm not. His schedule's so fluid, but he'll be there Wednesday, Thursday. Anthony Macri is only 7 wins away from career win number 100 for 410s. How many races will it take him? It depends if he's on the road. If he's on the road, it's going to be harder to get. Competition goes up, a little more difficult to get a win. But I'd say he gets it this year. Probably September sometime. I don't know. I mean, how many races? Again, does he race this weekend? So it's hard to put a frame on it because you just don't know where he's going to go or how much he's going to race. James McFadden looked good during PA Speed Week. How many wins do you think he gets before going back to Australia? Again, he's going to be on the road. He's going to be running against Outlaws and High Limit. I think it's going to be tough to get wins. I'm going to say 2. I don't know how much he's going to run in California or when he heads back, but maybe 2. Bigger raise for Eric. What is that, your brother, Eric? Eric does a good job. Glad to have him aboard. How many seasons do you see the PA series lasting? I see it morphing into other. I see it changing year to year. I think it's going to be around. I think it's going to be around for a while. I just think they're going to continuously change it and make tweaks. They better anyway. But they can keep it going as long as the sponsors come back. So I don't think you can have a timetable on that because I think it's going to be around. I just think it's going to change. Yes, definitely. Hit the likes. I appreciate that. Any PA drivers headed to Fremont for a high limit show before Eldora race weekend? Not sure if Dietrich will be there. I think Cameron Smith and them will go right to Eldora. I don't think Chase Dietz will go to Fremont. Maybe he will. Max 2 or 3. But I don't know if people are going to, because people didn't really go to Attica. They skipped that and just went straight to Eldora. So not many. Scrap the PA Posse series. Fringe tracks are getting hammered with the sanctioning fee. Be surprised if many of them make much money. I agree. Pat Valley got killed. So I agree. Would a 20-race PA Posse series be viable for sponsors, track, etc.? I think it would be better. I think it would definitely be better. It wouldn't be as cumbersome. The sanction fees would be lower. I just think, and really, nobody cares about point funds. Okay, the teams care, but fans don't care. They don't care if somebody's getting paid $50,000. I haven't heard one fan say it all year. I've not heard a fan say, ooh, somebody's going to win $50,000. I haven't heard that track once. No, I don't think they care. So from a fan standpoint, I think 20 would be better, make them more event. I mean, here's a problem with the PA series too. There's nothing to distinguish between a PA series race and a weekly show. It feels the same. It looks the same. Nothing changes. There's nothing special about it. So the fans don't care. They got to be events. They got to be special. You got to do something to make them special. They can't be ordinary. They are ordinary. There's a lot of people who don't even know their PA series races. They don't look at the purse. And it's only $6,000 to win. So nobody cares. It's a nothing burger right now. It's just not something that means anything. Gotta love your brutally honest take on things. Well, I'm not trying to be harsh. It's just the reality of it. It's just, it doesn't mean anything. The shit that you have talked about, the PA posse, is unreal. It's first year and shit's going smooth. I'm tired of negative Nancy. Well, you can be, is it going smooth? How's the $4,000 sanction fee going? How is the not having a race director going? How is it having not having officials? How about we're making changes midstream? It's not going smooth. It's not going smooth. And honestly, again, I haven't heard anybody care about it. You'd be the first one. I don't know anybody who likes it. Posse series only helps fans decide where the 410s are running. You know which track to go to. Other than that, it provides nothing for a fan. Fair, there's a good thing. There's one good thing. Jeremy, are you suffering from buddy withdrawals? No. I'm not related. Lincoln needs to hire a real promoter. Lepo would be perfect. I would have hired him after promoting that show. I've heard that a lot. I do think in the defense, I'm not saying Lepo couldn't do it. I'm saying it, to the amount of effort that he put into that show, I think it's a lot different promoting 20 as opposed to 1. So I don't know if that's something Brian really wants to do, but it is different. It is different. Do you think Kennedy should run the G5 instead of Palkerback? Thomas was a damn good driver. I think it's fine the way it is. A lot of promoters don't promote anymore. They want other people to do it for them all the time. Not going to argue. If major Central PA teams sit out this weekend for Ohio races, what will Central PA car counts be? That's an interest. I don't know. That's interesting. I'm not sure what it would be for Lincoln Port running against each other, 23 to 26 for each of them. And it's not only that, it's the week after Speed Week. You had 13 guys run all 8 races. You had other teams run 5, 4. I do think there's an element of, this would be there's a reason the Grove took off. Let's put it that way. To be honest, these 2 races it's a terrible date for Clinton County and Bedford. Fans used a lot of money. They're jamming them in after Speed Week and before major races around here. The series didn't do Clinton County and Bedford any favors this weekend. So the car count thing, that's a good question. I don't know what to expect. Does Lincoln still have the same outhouse style bathrooms? Can't imagine that's a good look when the only improvements done to the track are just beer gardens and motocross track. Yeah, their bathrooms are the same. They have a lot of job johns that are, they're clean. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I can't answer why there hasn't been an improvement. Will on line 3. Will, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Hanging in there.
Well, what I wanted to talk about was what I saw at Santa Maria Speedway. It's starting to become dangerous and scary for the competitors. I mean, when Faria went over, the car had an oil fire, some sort of fire. The first two guys that got to him didn't have a fire extinguisher. And from what I could see and the way things were running, they got him out of the car. It took a couple guys to help him, but they didn't have an ambulance on the property either. That's kind of scary.
The race shouldn't have been run then.
I totally agree. I remember that the races weren't allowed to start until you had an ambulance on the grounds.
It's California, baby. Anything goes out there. It seems like to me. I
don't.
Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, apparently, I mean, that's what we saw on Flo. I mean, for the time it took to get his bearings and got him, and when you see the safety crew signaling someone else to, hey, call an ambulance, that's wow.
If that's the case and they didn't have an ambulance, they shouldn't have run it. You don't run without an ambulance. Full stop.
Correct. I totally agree with that completely. And I was shocked, and then once the ambulance got there, then they had two fire trucks show up, and I guess it was okay from there. But it should have been in place to begin with. And believe me, man, the safety crew at this track do not seem like they know what they're doing, and it's scary.
Was this a CRA event? USAC CRA event?
Yes, sir.
Some of the onus falls on the sanctioning body.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, because I'm sure a World of Outlaws show or a High Limit show, I'm sure they would have made sure there was an ambulance.
Right.
Right. And being a somewhat USAC entity show, you would think the same, and I don't know what happened. And the weird thing, and it was probably just coincidence, but the wreck that Furry was in was pretty spectacular. And then when they cut the music, it was, it just sort of, was an appropriate song for what happened. I mean,
wow.
What was I thinking?
Well, I mean, it's. I think some of that stuff's canned before it happens, so I'm not going to beat him up for that. Though, I mean, again, safety of convenience. We talk about safety, but it seems like it only gets instituted when it's convenient.
I can't disagree there. I just, wish California had higher standards, or, it's not a good show when somebody gets in a wreck like that.
No, nobody wants to see that. And I wish him the best in his recovery.
Yeah, I hope I haven't heard anything either. So I guess that's good. I mean, he's not in a hospital or whatnot.
Right.
But he's a farmer, so he has to be on that tractor.
Well,
that's what he does for a living. He's a farmer.
Well, yeah, that's not good then.
Thank you for taking my call.
No problem, Will.
And what's this deal with there's an ARC race coming up on something special you guys are doing? What?
Saturday night, aren't they at Santa Maria?
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but if you say so, I would agree.
I wish that was the case. Yeah, they're at Santa Maria, July 11th.
Okay, so I guess hopefully we'll see better preparation for, the track was in not so bad shape, but it was just the safety stuff, and those are important things.
Yep. No, I agree. All right, Will.
Take it easy.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. All right. What else do we got here? He got released from the hospital. He has C2 fracture in his neck. Yep, we got that earlier. Thank you. World Finals gives you best bang for your buck. 140 for 4 nights and pit passes. Great deal. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. That is a great deal. PA is working class diehards that go every race they can, 2 to 3 shows a weekend. It is. I just think I don't think everybody goes to 2 or 3 shows a weekend. I think it varies, and I think the group of diehards is waning. I think they're getting older. I think they're not being replaced by a younger crowd as much. So I think, again, that's why some of your crowds are down too. I think it's an older group. They're not going to go sit in certain conditions or they decide, well, you know what, I'm only going to go one night a week because of the cost or whatever the case is. I do think the number of diehards is diminishing a little bit. Looking forward to USAC East Coast tomorrow. Kutztown, finally good weather. Rained out both times this year. Should be interesting. Kutztown, hopefully they get a good turnout and have no problems with anybody in the town. Huset's is horrible. Wow. I'm sorry I don't get the hype on that place. Looks beautiful. Facility is one of the nicest in the country, but track is poor at best. First 3 nights of Huset's was pretty good. The last night, not as much, but that happens sometimes with tracks when you have 4-day events. It's not the first time I've seen it. I've seen it other places. I do think the track is better this year than it's been. They've revamped some things with the clay. They got new clay in. They reshaped it a little bit. It's a work in progress from that standpoint, and I've seen improvement. If you don't see improvement, then it's a problem. But you see improvement. And the first 3 nights of the Huset's High Bank Nationals were pretty good. The last night, yes, wasn't as good as the other 3 nights. But horrible? No, I've seen a lot worse places than that, even with track conditions. I'm almost certain Sweet or someone had a private test with American Racer last year. No, it wasn't. It was Rico ran them, Sweet ran them, and somebody else. But again, there's logistics to it. And there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And it's not as just, yes, they did test them. How many races can Outlaws run with another series? Because I think Schuhart will be out if he runs at Port. They have no races on their schedule outside of the Outlaws once the King's Royal's done. The Joker's Jackpot. They've only used one, that was Hagerstown. And they got permission for Lincoln and Williams Grove, and they're going to run the 2 at the Joker's Jackpot at Eldora. And they said that'll be it. Babs needs a weekend World of Outlaws or High Limit show, not just a random Wednesday. Yes, it is packed, but still it's a great track with great promotion. I do think their promotion, they're hitting on some things that some other people aren't doing, and I think it's working. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to that. Getting a one to go. What are we doing? Pete on line 4. Pete, how are you?
Doing all right.
Good.
Doing all right. Got a little late start tonight.
Oh, it's okay.
How ran through has the Hank Davis, Michael Dutcher subject been so far?
It's been mentioned. It's been mentioned. Again, I don't know exactly what happened there. Obviously, Hank Davis released that he was let go. I think things started to probably go south around Grandview when they were in here, and it just never recovered. Uh, I'm not, both sides, I think, are to the point where they need some stability. And, or otherwise it's going to be tough to get drivers or for Hank Davis to get rides. That's just the way it is in this sport. You got to have some stability. So, but other than that, I mean, I really don't have a lot of thoughts on it.
Well, Hank has been in 15 cars in 2 years, and they've had 10 drivers in 2 years. So, a lot of people are probably surprised they made it this long, but I don't think he did, a poor job. I mean, he didn't go out and set the world on fire, but their first year ever to do a, winged series, and they're not last in points. They're ahead of people who've done this for a little while.
No, I would agree. I guess, again, chemistry comes into it, and I don't know what the personality part of it was. I guess they weren't doing as well as they wanted to, I guess is fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this year he has 3 top 5s and 35 starts. He has 1 win. He has 7 top 10s. So he's in the top 10, 20% of the time. Now he's running high limit, and he's running a lot of places where he's never been to. And I think that plays a role in that.
Right.
But again, I guess they're looking for better performance.
Yeah. And I get that, but I don't think he's done, he hasn't tore a bunch of stuff up. It doesn't seem like. I don't think he's done terrible. And, kind of like you mentioned, you've got a team that's had a bunch of drivers, and you've got a driver that's had a bunch of teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a great look for either of them, but, I don't know. Hopefully they both land on their feet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dutcher will be he'll be at Fremont. The team will be at Fremont. And I think Hank Davis will be fine. I think he could probably go run ASCS if need be. I think he could probably maybe find something with Power I at this point or someplace like that. I don't think he'll be on the market long.
No, I would agree. And then it's one of those deals where you've got a car and a driver who bounce around a lot. You can't really tell which one is the issue. If it was one or the other, you go, oh, well, they've always got a new driver. Or like everyone said about Hank last year, it's like, man, he won't stay with the team. When you put them together, you don't know which one's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe neither of them's a problem. Maybe it just didn't work.
Yeah, maybe they weren't getting along. They weren't doing what they were, what they hoped for.
Yeah, hard to say.
All right, man. Well, thanks for taking my call.
All right, Pete. Thank you very much. All right, let's get back to the chat. Where are they now, Doug Esch? It's probably in Lancaster. That's where he's from. It's not too far away from me, about 25, 30 miles. Jeremy, will Brent Mark's speed continue? I think so. Looked decent at the Grove, was running top 5 at Lincoln as well before the spin. I guess Ryan Newton got into the back of him. So, yeah, I think the speed continues. We'll see at Fremont, obviously. But he's got to be a factor or a guy to look at for the Kings Royal. He's always been good at Eldora. He's won crown jewel events at the place. And with the speed he has, I think he's very much in the mix there. Not sure if you seen Rico's post the other day of the 214 cars seem like a hint. Tony coming back to run at the track he owns. I don't know. I can't imagine. I don't know what the NHRA schedule is that weekend. I can't imagine he'd do that. I mean, who knows though? Rico definitely gets people engaged on social media. I thought the car was decent looking. So no, I have no idea what the second one was for. Maybe one for the Joker's jackpot, maybe one for the Kings. I don't know or what that means. We'll find out next week. Did Brent Marks pick up a major sponsor yet? No, he did not. Tough to get. I was doing some research this week on formats and schedules. For example, Grove had 28 scheduled, 21 time trials, 3 hot lap time trials, and 7 handicap. Thoughts? I'd like to see more handicap shows. I wouldn't have said that a year ago at this time, but I think I hear people want them. So give them what they want. If they don't show up, well, then go back to what you're doing. Yeah, your big name drivers aren't going to like it, but you can't run your track based on 3 guys. So I think they would even admit that fans should come first. I hear more and more people are sick of time trials. So give them more handicap shows. I'd even that out a little more. Jeremy, is Kevin Swindell watching over Jet Barnes or just hanging out with him at Skagit? I think he was helping on the car, I believe. I think he's probably vested in some way. I know Jet Barnes ran for him at Chili Bowl. I think he's probably just helping him out. And it's a little less expensive to do that than it is to field a car. So I think he's just, hanging around, has interest in Jet's career. And again, obviously, I'm sure Jet will run for him at Chili Bowl next year. Will Rudeen run that Ford again? Ooh, I doubt it. I doubt it seriously. He purchased a lot of he's purchased a lot of Trenton Schaefer stuff, who took over for Charlie Garrett. So he's fully vested there. So I doubt you'll see a Ford again. Any live shows for Kings Royal next week? I'm going to try, yes. I just need to plan them out. I'll do that over the weekend and probably announce something on that Saturday show when I'll be doing them. But yes, we will have a live show probably Saturday afternoon before the Kings Royal, and probably on Thursday for the Joker's Jackpot. Just preliminary thoughts. So I would hope to. Ray on line 6. Ray, how are you?
I'm good, and I do like your show, and I just wanted to, my observation of the PA Speed Week, I don't think there was a car upside down in the whole thing, if I remember correctly, and was just overall pretty happy with the Pennsylvania and the other guys' performances where nobody was crazy and doing stupid things. That's refreshing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Brady Bacon got upside down Wednesday at Port Royal. He took a hard lick over there and then turns one. But no, for the most part, it was pretty clean, I think. And I'm not surprised by that. I think guys, I think you have probably more good guys making the field with some of the invaders we had. Some of the guys who came over, obviously Ryan Newton and some other guys, James McFadden, Bacon, guys like that. No, it was a good week. The crowds were down a little bit, which surprised me. You lost the last 2 shows, which is never good. But other than that, no, I think it was an okay week.
Yeah, that's basically what I had in mind.
Okay.
I think, or I have a thing in my mind that when I watch a World of Outlaws show compared to the others, I see a lot more wrecks. I don't know. I don't have the statistics to prove that, but that's the way I feel. So I was real happy with PA Speed Week. That's all. I know something about those cars, and I just hate seeing them get tore up. That's all.
Well, yeah, they're expensive, and you never want to see teams take a beating in the wallet over that.
Exactly, because then they don't do so well after that.
No.
Anyway, that's all. Thanks.
All right, Ray. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
All right. Do you think Macri can complete the Triple Crown? I think Knoxville's a hard one. I think he could definitely win the Grove National Open. I think he can win that this year. And in Knoxville National, some really good guys have gone their whole career without winning it. Darren Pittman, Shane Stewart, guys like that never won I mean, here's something to think about Knoxville. I think Sammy's won it once or twice. I think it was once. Should have won it a lot more, didn't win it. So it's a real hard race to win. That's a lot to ask to win the Triple Crown. But I thought Eldora would be really difficult. He won that last year, and I think he'd win the National Open any year he runs it. So I definitely think he gets 2 out of 3. Knoxville, different animal, tougher to win, and you need a lot of laps out there. So definitely the odds are against that just because Knoxville's so difficult to win. So, but the other two, definitely. Jerry, my uncle worked with Brian Householder in putting together the 50th anniversary book for Lincoln Speedway back in 2003. He still to this day has a complete archive of most every track. In the PA area, I was wondering if you'd be interested with working with him in any kind of comparative part of the show, like a now versus then kind of thing, or even on this day kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I would think about that. I definitely think about that. I know Brian. Could always reach out to him about it. Send me an email or something, and I can reach out to him and think about what we can do with it. But I would be open to it. Yes. Surprise Marks hasn't got a sponsor. Years ago, he had someone putting out weekly PR announcement that seemed to has ended. Wonder why? I think it's money. I don't know if that really sells sponsorship anymore. I think the jury's kind of out on that. I think it's difficult getting a sponsor nowadays, especially in the middle of the year, because all the budgets are done October, November, December for the following year, more toward October and November for these companies. So I think to try and get a sponsor now is very difficult. I think he probably should just work on getting one for next year. Get an early start. I know advertising for our different shows. I'd love to have an advertiser now for this show or other shows, but I'm more focused on 2027 just because of the advertising budgets of companies. And I'm sure he's asking for a substantial amount, not like what I would ask for. So I think it's really difficult to get a sponsor in general, but to do it in the middle of the season is probably tenfold. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have one the rest of the year on the car like that. But I do think, next year going into 2027, it's something that he can pull off. Other than that 1 year with Zeb Wise, the Rudine car has never impressed. Peck is a good driver, so what is the problem? I don't know. It starts out quick and then it just kind of fades after that. I don't know what the deal is. The resources are there. They've switched crew chiefs. They've moved crew members around. They've switched motors. I couldn't even begin to answer that. I don't know. I wish I had a better, sexier answer than I don't know, but I don't know. It goes through spurts. And it seems when they get a driver, there's a honeymoon stage. They do really well, and then it drops off. I can't answer why. Jeremy, Danny's still going to Eldora. From what I gather, I was in his trailer doing the post race for Monday Steve Smith's senior tribute race, and he mentioned to somebody about Eldora. I think it was the tire guy getting tires for Eldora. So I think he's planning on it. Do you think Dietz or Macker will join a national series next year or other guys? No, I don't see either of those guys joining a national series next year. I could see Macri doing it at some point because he said he'd be interested for 1 year doing it, which means it would be World of Outlaws. But I don't see it yet, and I don't see either of them doing it next year. Why? I mean, Dietz is in the top 5 in earnings, I believe. I think he's 4th or something like that, doing what he's doing close to home. So I don't think you're going to see them on a national tour full time. Jeremy, what do you think about Tri-City Raceway Park and Lernerville racing head to head? Tri-City has barely been getting 15 cars this year. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Didn't make sense when they did it. I don't think it's good for the area. I don't see how either of them are making it work. And yeah, I'm not in favor of it. Not at all. Glad to see someone sing the national anthem at Williams Grove. She did great. Okay. I think a much shorter series would be better, but then it would be comparable to Speed Week. What are the late 80s, early 90s Skull series like race total? Well, they had that Pabst. It was Pabst Blue Ribbon deal they had, and it was so many races. I can't remember. I was a kid. I can't remember how many races it was. But I think 20 to 25 is fine. You know, and honestly, if you're going to get $200,000, put it into the races. Put them into the races. Make them special. They're not special now. There's nothing special about them. Not one thing. Reitzel has cooled off a bit since his white hot streak. He's trailing Rico, still sticking with him winning the high limit title. Yeah, I'm not going to change now. Sticking with him. Any idea what's going on with Brian Brown? Seems to be the worst year he's had in a long time. I agree. They just don't have speed. I think Brian still deals with some discomfort in his hand. I don't think it's a deal where it's a hindrance to the point of being a problem for others. I don't think it's a safety issue, but I do think he deals with numbness or whatever. I just think they're in a bad spot. They're going through motor changes now, obviously with Charlie Garrett not being in the mix. So I don't, man, it's been rough, and he's not qualifying well. And that's something that he did well all the time. So I think it's a motor issue. I think there are various other things going on, and hopefully he pulls out of it. Jeremy, will you go to the American flat track races at Williams Grove this Saturday? Are you a fan? No. The motorcycle thing has really never interested me. And Saturday I'm doing the show here. So no. It's not something I'm into. Would you add a track to Speed Week if you could? On top of the 10 races? No. If we lost a couple races, yeah, I'd think about it. But if it's the 10 races now and adding 11th, no way in hell. No way. But if you're replacing a track, yeah, I'd think about it. I would definitely go look around at the tracks, maybe make sure the safety's okay at Big Diamond or Path Valley or and see what, Clinton County I know wants one. I would entertain it. I would not go to Bedford. To me, it's too far away. I wouldn't go to Bridgeport, but something in this area, I'd go, see how they run their program, their regular program, see how things operate, and maybe bring them into the fold. But it would be to replace a race that's there now. It would not be in addition to. Did the PA Posse Series eliminate the Diamond Series events at Williams Grove? It seems like it. They rolled a bunch of point fund money into their sanction fee. That takes care of the sanction fee. Seen a lot of gray-haired people in the stands for the Smith tribute race. Once the people are gone, I don't see many replacing them. Ticket prices need to be more family-friendly. I'm always concerned about the age of dirt track fans. It seems like it's a very old group. And eventually, they're going to continue to get older and they're not going to be here anymore. Not to be morbid, but that's the fact. I won't be here anymore. So they got to do a better job getting younger people in. And how they do that, they got to run specials, they got to run deals, they got to do promotional things. Otherwise, the fan base is going to die out. And people can say that's negative. I know people are upset I'm talking about the first year series. Well, I'm sorry. When you get every track in the room, they should be able to come up with something better than this. It's a fact. I'm sorry. I could have whittled something on a napkin that's better than this. So it's just listening to customers. I don't care if you're doing a PA series. I don't care if you're worried about the age of people in the stands. I don't care if you're any aspect. Listen to your customers. They can't run the asylum, but you got to listen to them and maybe do some things that make them want to come. And that includes family-friendly stuff. Richard on line 7. Richard, how are you?
I'm good. We're watching you quite a bit. We're from Iowa.
Okay.
And we're wanting to know what your opinion is on Ryan Timms getting another Knoxville back-to-back.
You know, Ryan Timms is a tough guy to handicap because, and I've talked to Shane Liebig about this. You know, last year he won a lot and he won Knoxville and then came back and won the Tuscarora 50 in equally dominant fashion. But he struggled in sanctioned races last year. If you go look at his record against the Outlaws and High Limit, it wasn't as great. Same this year. That being said, when they're good and they're on, they're really good. And Ryan Timms is one of the hardest guys for me to handicap as far as how they're going to perform. So I'm not counting him out of the Knoxville Nationals. Definitely not. He won it a year ago. He shows week to week in weekly shows. He's good there. He hasn't been good against the Outlaws there. He was the first stint in April, but after that, not at all. So he is so tough. I like their team. I'm not going to count him out, and I'd put him behind Gravel because I think David Gravel's going to win it this year. He can't continue to have heat race problems. It'll be like the 4th year in a row. So I do think he's definitely in that 1A or 2 category to win Knoxville again. He's just really good there.
Don't you think him running there weekly gives him some kind of advantage in how he goes around the bottom? Or
excuse me, they say that the track's totally different than week of the Nationals. Brian Brown's told me that. I mean, I
watched him the other night, and he just seems like he gets around the bottom so good, you know. And it seems like a lot of these guys that win the Knoxville Nationals is around the bottom.
Sure, they do, and I think that's what makes Tim such a threat. I think the fact that he has a lot of laps there, I think that, and of course that he's won it. He's dealt with the pressure of trying to win that race, and I think that makes him a favorite. I agree with you, but so here's my question then: why was he so terrible in the last few Outlaw shows there?
That's a good question.
See, that's what makes it difficult for me.
You think?
But he was terrible last year in the summer Outlaw shows, and then he went out and just annihilated him at the Nationals. So to me, he has to get
Then
consideration.
you watch him weekly, and it just like he's just pretty good weekly, steady, you know?
Yeah. No, he's good there. I agree with you. He is a threat, and he is a guy you have to give consideration once the Nationals rolls around in August. You have to.
He just seems like it's a guy that drives that, not the one-hit wonder band, you know,
Right.
You've seen people produce good songs or two.
Sure.
But it just seems like, to me, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets 2-3 Knoxville Nationals in his career and never really makes it on the national tour. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you. I don't.
That's the way I see him.
I mean, I just don't. Again, I scratch my head sometimes thinking about, you know, because I do pools and stuff, and I'm thinking, Ryan Tibbs. I never know what to do with him. Like Husitz. Husitz, he's pretty good at Husitz. He did nothing at the High Bank Nationals.
Yeah.
So I have no answer for that.
You brought up I had one more question. The Husitz Speedway, we were about 80 miles from there. What do you think about them ever widening out the backstretch? Would it be a premier place if they widen that place up?
Ooh, I never really thought about that because they did a track configuration this year a little bit with the new clay. I mean, I don't think it would hurt them. They'd have to move. Man, I don't know how they would do that because they have that.
We hear a lot of complaints. Like,
right.
We're going to go over and watch the Outlaws over here at Shelby County, and we went up there and watched the late models, and it's just they moved the Silver Dollar over to Shelby, and just seems too narrow in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, and maybe they do something with it. That take a lot of effort. They have cement back there, right up against the wall, so you're gonna have to break up a lot of cement, and they have the one grandstand back there as well. Plus, I believe that would affect the jumbotrons back there. I don't see them doing that. That's a lot of effort. Just, I don't know. That's a big undertaking.
Would you consider that? Would you consider that just a sprint car track then?
Yeah. Midgets too.
That was my opinion. We watch you quite a bit, and we appreciate you here.
Well, I appreciate you calling in and listening.
Yep, you're the bomb. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All righty.
Yep, take care.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, what else do we got here? Any reason why Grandview rubbered up with PA Speed Week and never really rubbers with High Limit? No, I've seen it rubber with High Limit. I've seen it rubber with the All-Stars. That's a place that the last 10 laps are 50% it's going to rubber. I've seen it rubber with both of them. Are you going to Lernerville for High Limit show? I don't know yet. I'll make that decision last minute. That'll be a Monday before the Tuesday show. Sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. I'm coming off Eldora, and now that they moved the Weichert to the following week, I don't like moving the live show around too much. And next week, I don't know when I'm going to do it. Just not certain. So I'll decide the Monday before Lernerville. I've been to that race numerous times. I like it. It's just where it is on the schedule. Do any promoters go to minor league sporting events to see what they do to draw fans? Example, minor league baseball in the PA area. Yeah, I think some do. I know Colton Gauss does. I think Steve O'Neill goes to some different games. I think they do. I don't know if all of them maybe take some of those ideas over to racing. And I don't think you can take all those ideas over to racing. I do think baseball's unique. I think the Hershey Bears are unique a little bit. I think there's some things you can take away, but then I think, I don't think a lot of them go to him, but I think some do. I definitely think some do. Saw 360s running a port during Speed Week. Do you ever see a time when PA either gets rid of 360s or 358s altogether? Also, can you talk about the idea behind running a 358 instead of a 360? 358s aren't going anywhere. Not happening. They've been around since like 1990. 358 started as a working man's cheaper way to race. And then it got out of hand with the heads. And then obviously we have what we have today. But that's why it started. And it was with the Cars group. It was run by DeVal Dressler. So that's kind of where the 358s came from. I don't see them going away because they're the second division at Lincoln and they're the second division at Williams Grove. And they're the main second division. It's not like they come in 5 times. So I think they're at the Grove maybe 10. I think they're at Lincoln maybe even more than that. So I don't see 358s going away. 360s I could see going away just because I think URC is in trouble. They drew 9 cars a couple weeks ago. 9. If you're drawing 9 cars, that's a problem. So I could see them going away. What are the benefits? I don't know the benefits. I just know the 358s have been around a long time. So are the 360s with URC. It's not like URC is new. What the benefit was, I know DeVal Dressler told me a long, long time ago, it was just a cheaper way. It's just a cheaper division. Now, whether that's true now and what it developed into, I would argue it's probably pretty close to the same. But originally, that's how it started. Hit the like button. Yes, thank you very much. We got a few minutes on here yet. And I got to do 90 at 9 and a story. Coming from a modified background, that also loves sprint cars. The one thing I hate is long, drawn-out time trials. I'm a fan of the timed hot laps. That's kind of a split group, interestingly enough. I mean, some people like the timed hot laps. Other people like regular time trials. I don't care either way. I don't like it long and drawn out. But, I mean, tracks can run them through pretty quick around here now, except for Williams Grove, only because they have that split deal, backstretch, front stretch, and you got to bring them over. So it takes forever and a day. But other than that, I don't have a preference either way, but seems like fans are split on that. Deep dive USAC's Dr. Pat Sullivan. Yes, I've considered that one. Wish tracks would sell partial season passes instead of having to buy a full season pass. Can't commit to making every race. I like it too. I agree with you. Hershey Bears sell, they have the 36 game package, which is the full season. And then they have 12 game packages. I agree with you. I don't know why you wouldn't do it if you could. Now, if somebody's going to buy a 36 or a full season, yeah, you don't sell that seat. But seats that are available, I don't know why you wouldn't sell packages. I don't know if it's a clerical thing where they don't want to keep track of it or what it is, but I know I'd sell as much as I could. With Hank Davis out of the 7GP, who will be the next driver on the hot seat? I think the hot seat's cooled. I think some drivers who maybe were on it are no longer on it. So I don't think it's a big hot seat right now. That's a tough question because we're going into the month of money races, and I just don't think I think people are pretty set with what they're going to do. Now, granted, we just had this one change and we had to deal with Trone, but Trone has nothing to do with the Crown Jewel events. I just don't think we're going to see a lot of movement now. I think we start hearing stuff at Knoxville's when I start hearing a lot of stuff. So we'll see. But right now, I think it's pretty quiet out there. Will Caleb Henry go to High Limit or Woo next year? He's a great driver. I don't think he'll go to either of those. It's still a Ohio car. What are some ways to bring new life into Silver Crown racing and cut down on the attrition? I couldn't even begin to tell you. Yeah, I just don't know. I think it's the names. I think, I'd generate some interest by getting some sprint car guys in there. It's a bigger fan base. And when I say sprint car, I mean wing sprint cars. I give incentives or something. Look, drivers draw people at time. Your fans, like, your diehards or whatever, even though that's a dwindling group. As far as new fans, it's nothing different than anything else. You got to entice people to want to come to the race. But got to get names. And watching a Silver Crown race is essentially like watching a USAC sprint car race, isn't it? Most of the same guys run it. I was just looking at Mitchell Moles just won at Terre Haute. And he led the whole way. And I forget who was second. But they're all USAC guys. So I don't really know. That's Silver Crown used to be big and it just changed. I don't really know. What all posse teams are going to Eldora? I think you're going to see Chase Dietz, Anthony Macri, Danny Dietrich, and Cameron Smith, if you want to count the 1A. I think those will be your 4. URC was such a solid group in the past. What happened? USAC winless. I think once they booted Bob Miller out, it started to go downhill. I don't think it was strong after that. So you had regime changes, and I think anytime you have regime changes, it's not always good. And then I think people just started new divisions. It's like we saw it with the wingless super sportsmen. If you don't like what one division is, I'm just going to start another division, and then they eat each other. And I think for 360 racing, it killed that. I think it killed them. I think USAC winless certainly didn't help it. So I just think there's too many divisions in Central PA. Way too many divisions. Hey, Jeremy, I hope you're having a good day. My question is, should both High Limit and the Outlaws do throwback races? By that, you mean what? Paint schemes? Or when you say throwback races, what do you mean by that? Elaborate. Do tracks offer minors kids get in free with the purchase of adults? Yeah, I mean, they have student prices and kids under 12 free, at least in Central PA. So, yeah, they have student and kids prices, or kids get in free. All right, that's a wrap on the questions. I'm sorry I didn't get back to the one who asked me about the throwback stuff with the World of Outlaws and High Limit. Hit me up next week on that. I apologize. Also, thank you to everybody who joined the show. Appreciate it. We will be doing our race day live show on Saturday starting at 7:30. What do you think, Eric? 7:30 or 7? What works? I don't know what that means. It just went like this. But stay tuned to social media, both the Facebook page and Twitter. I will have something up about it. I'm thinking we start at 7:30 is when everybody starts. So we're going to go with 7:30 on Saturday. We'll promote it on social media outlets, etc. And again, for more sprint car news across the country, check out our YouTube channel. And of course, SprintCarUnlimited.com. Thank you, and we'll be back next week. Stay tuned.